power that is available to you, the support that is available to you from and through His Word. Finally, find your strength in the Lord, in His mighty power. Put on all the armor which God provides, so that you may be able to stand firm against the devices of the devil. For our fight is not against human foes. The power that is available to you, the support that is available to you from and through His Word. Finally, find your strength in the Lord, in His mighty power. Put on all the armor which God provides, so that you may be able to stand firm against the devices of the devil. For our fight is not against human foes, but against cosmic powers, against the authorities and the potentates of this dark world, against the superhuman forces of evil in the heavens. Therefore take up God's armor. Then you will be able to stand your ground when things are at their worst, to complete every task and still to stand. Stand firm, I say. Buckle on the belt of truth. For coat of mail, put on integrity. Let the shoes on your feet be the gospel of peace, to give you firm footing. And with all these, take up the great shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take salvation for the helmet. For sword, take that which the Spirit gives you, the word that comes from God. Give yourself wholly to prayer and to entreaty. Pray on every occasion in the power of the Spirit. To this end, keep watch and persevere, always interceding for all God's people. And pray for me, that I may be granted the right words when I open my mouth, and may boldly and freely make known His hidden purpose, for which I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I may speak of it boldly, as it is my duty to speak. And I also pray for you, that you may be granted the right words when you open your mouth, and that you may boldly and freely make known His hidden purpose, for which you are an ambassador, though in chains. Pray that you may speak of it boldly, as it is your duty to speak. How blessed are those who know that they are poor. The kingdom of heaven is theirs. How blessed are the sorrowful. They shall find consolation. How blessed are those of a gentle spirit. They shall have the earth for their possession. How blessed are those who hunger and thirst to see right prevail. They shall be satisfied. How blessed are those who show mercy. Mercy shall be shown to them. How blessed are those whose hearts are pure. They shall see God. How blessed are the peacemakers. God shall call them His sons. How blessed are those who suffered persecution for the cause of right. The kingdom of heaven is theirs. How blessed you are when you suffer insults and persecutions and every kind of calumny for my sake. Accept it with gladness and exultation, for you have a rich reward in heaven in the same way they persecuted the prophets before you. You are the salt of the earth. And if salt becomes tasteless, how is its saltness to be restored? It is now good for nothing but to be thrown away and trodden underfoot. You are the light for all the world. A town that stands on a hill cannot be hidden. When a lamp is lit, it is not put under the meal tub, but on the lampstand, where it gives light to everyone in the house. And you, like the lamp, must shed light among your fellows, so that when they see the good you do, they may give praise to your Father in heaven. We all know that that last passage was the Beatitudes from the Sermon on the Mount. The words of Jesus as they were recorded by Matthew. And I think many of you recognize the story of the whole armor of God, of course, is the word of Jesus through the mouthpiece that happened to be St. Paul. And the recipients were specifically the people of Ephesus. But in the kingdom of heaven, there is no difference between Ephesus and Flathead Lake, Montana. No difference at all. Because you see, these letters and these, the words of Jesus, were spoken to a group that I just love calling Believers Incorporated. And that's what we are. And we're incorporated with a dual incorporation. Of course, the most glorious one is our incorporation with Jesus Christ himself. He is the key to the whole incorporation. But because he is what he is, and because we are what we are, and because he is in us, do you know we are incorporated one with the other? But we will never know the fullness of that second layer of incorporation. I shouldn't put it that way. We will only come to know the richness of that incorporation at the second layer as we enjoy the richness of our incorporation with Jesus. And you know, here it is in the word of an apostle. Here it is in the word of Jesus. And it was because he was, it was before he was on earth. For this is the same thing that you find, the same way, the same grace, way back in Chronicles, one of those great books of inheritance that we call the Old Testament. And I think as I pondered over these last night and this morning, I think we have been experiencing what the chronicler was talking about. And like so many things in our relationship with God, there are two sides. There is his expectation of us, or from us, and then his promise to us becomes fulfillable. And just listen to these, and just I'm going to read them slowly in sections, and I want you to just think about it as being the experience we had here. If my people, I'll read it all through, and then we'll come back and take it piece by piece. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Hasn't that really been our experience here? Aren't we really aware that we are his people? Haven't we become aware of that? This has been, I suppose this is my sharing with you in a sense. I have, as a result of our sharing here together, our experience here together, become more certain that we are his people, that we have been called by his name. And we have experienced here humbling experiences. And they've been gloriously humbling. And it's just as well we've had them, because that we're learning a pattern of life for the days that lie ahead for us. But you know, it isn't enough just to be humble, because it is linked in this word, humble themselves and pray. Humility is not enough. Because humility that does not lead us to the foot of the throne of Jesus in prayer has little redemption in it. It tends to veer over into the earthly thing known as being a doormat. But those who have experienced humility and have turned in prayer, and who seek his face, and surely we have sought him here, and because we have sought, he has revealed himself to us. That is the very nature of his promise. We have sought his face, and this means an act of deliberate willing on our part. For having seen his face, then we must continue to turn away from evil ways or wicked ways. And when we do that which he asks us to do, then he says he will hear from heaven. That's why you have experienced answered prayer, because he has heard. We have heard from heaven. He has heard. And when we do this, not only does he hear from heaven, but he says, I forgive you. That's what these cleansings have been here. This has been the experience that has been ours. The certainty that we have been forgiven. And I suspect if your experience has been mine, the certainty is about one of the most glorious things that we come into. Because there is another certainty too, that tomorrow I'm going to need the same certainty that he has heard my prayer and has forgiven my sin. And then he goes further, you see, and he says, and I will heal their land. And I don't suppose there's ever been a time in the history of man when our land has been more in need of healing. And the land includes all those that walk upon it, all those who are sustained from it. It's not just a geographic zone. And I will heal the land. And I will heal all the people who walk on the land. And healing in the mind of God is a total thing. It means where there are blemishes, the blemishes will be removed. Where there has damage been done, there will be repair. Where there is missing, there shall be fullness. All of this is involved in this glorious word and promise of the Father. And I will heal their land. That's what he said. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. In just a few words, you see, that's the summation of the grace of God. Of all that is included in that phrase, that is the grace of God. Hearing, forgiving, healing. In a way, I almost feel that a blessing service is in a sense unnecessary, and yet, no matter how much of a blessing each one of us has already received in this camp, and I know how richly I have been blessed. Blessed by the word that has been spoken to me. Blessed by the love that has enfolded me, and I include Gravina with me in this, but both of us have been blessed by the words that have been spoken to us, by the love that has been showered down upon us, by the hands that have simply touched us in passing. And how wrong it would be for us not to see still another opportunity to have still another blessing. And I guess this will probably be the kind of a blessing service you never expected it to be, because it isn't going to conform with your idea, I'm afraid, of what... no, I'm not a bit afraid. It is not going to conform with what in the past maybe had been your concept of the only way that a blessing service could be conducted. I want you to sit for a minute there and just look at your hands. And look at both sides of them. Do you realize that of all of the things that distinguish you from others of God creatures, particularly in the animal world, that you're looking at the chief distinction? Because our hands are different. We are able to do with our hands that which other members of the animal kingdom are not able to do. So thank God for your hands right now. Thank God for your hands. But as you do that, do you remember some of the things that you made your hands do that you now wish you'd left undone? For it was you who willed them. Your hands were your servants. Of themselves they have no will, no volition. They respond to your will and to your volition. And do you think sometimes of the things now as you look at your hands that you wished you had done and you didn't do? It was your willing that restrained them. These your hands, these my hands, these our hands, have no volition of their own. They respond to our volition, which can be both positive and can be negative. We can ask to be forgiven, and God in His mercy hears from heaven and forgives us. But did you ever think to ask your hands to forgive you? Your hands? None of us have ever seen the hand of God. None of us has ever seen the hand of God, but we have felt the hand of God. We have seen the consequences of the fact of the hand of God in creative ways. And since we are his sons and daughters, and since through Jesus, his Son and our brother, the very essence, the very nature of God becomes ours. Later on in this service, when it may well be that you will feel a hand upon you, it may be upon your head, it may be upon your shoulder, it may be anywhere. But you just remember that this is really the hand of God. That's right, honey, you know. And it would be easier for you to know than it would for some of us. And you will feel the hand of God. And I know, because I have faith in him, that as we sit quietly here, that he will nudge different ones. For we have asked that not only our bodies, not only our minds, not only our souls, but verily that our hands shall be purified, that they too shall be anointed. And then the Spirit will move us quietly to arise and go to a particular person and to bless them. For we are most blessed when, impelled by the love of Jesus within us, we bless others.